Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another fantastic, exciting episode of MPJ, Musical People and Journeys, new rock album reviews. And thank you, welcome to my crew today, Trish, Paul and Dave.
Morning!
Borada.
Borada.
Borada. Well, of course, we come off the wonderful, exciting news. So thank you to everybody who's out there where one of our videos, Love Bites vs. Gobsmack, is so close. It's nearly at 1,000 views, and we thank you very, very much. It made a month last month, and yeah, if you want to see what it's all about and get us all those 1K views, and would make our absolute year. So and it was great. It's great to see, isn't it? Because it's just great. It's just lovely to know that people are watching our reviews. Not that we do it for that, but it's an added, it's icing on the cake, isn't it, guys?
Yep, absolutely.
So thanks out there to our wonderful community, and obviously keep listening. Apologies, Ian can't make us today. Our best wishes. He's had a bereavement in the family, so our thoughts and well wishes go to Ian and his family and his partner. And we are thinking of you, but he has sent his votes in. He has listened to this month's votes, and he has sent his votes in. So, right, well, what exciting show have we got for you today? Well, the Battle of the Bands, our reviews, 7th Crystal versus Haken is our opening salvo. Bun, dun, dun. So, let's quickly go and find out, shall we? Who have we got today? 7th Crystal. Let's find out a little bit more about them, shall we? 7th Crystal is a stunning, I'll have you know, new rock band from. Oh, you're going to be a shock. It's a shock from the, and I love this wording because it's true. The fertile Swedish music scene. That's quite true, isn't it? It's the fertile. I mean, it's like seems to be the home of. Well, it should be the home or not of sort of like rock music in a lot of ways. Was put together by singer Christian Verheer, Perpetual Etude. Initially, Christian wanted to pursue a solo project, but when the song started to take form, he realised he wanted to involve more musicians. So he moved to vocals only and brought in Johan Aldensang, Pinstripe Conspiracy, Lamatashu, never heard of him, on keyboards and piano, and Olaf Gadd from Oshakuru on bass, as the first key pieces, and then recruited Anton Rus on drums, Emil Dororaris on guitar to complete the lineup. I hope you're loving my pronunciations here. 7th Crystal's music is best described as arena rock with melodic rock influences. In the words of Christian Verheer, I would describe the band's music as intelligent rock style, but still very melodic. My songwriting's varied. Oh, well, thank you very much for telling us that. I like starting a song in pop style and then beefing it up to making it rock. I'm a big admirer of Syrian Studio and Max Martin. Okay, me too. So my influences come mainly from there. Then, of course, all the other guys in the band bring their own influences, and the result is totally 7th Crystal. But did we think that his writing was varied from the Swedish fertile land of rock music? Right, well, let's start with you then, Dave, shall we? Because is this a stunning new rock band for their debut album? And I suppose we better tell them the name of the actual album itself, shall we? The album itself is called Wonderland. So, did it send you to Wonderland, I wonder?
Well, just wanted to say before we go on, it's actually scientific fact now that there are more rock bands in Sweden than there are police officers. It's very
Sorry, is that actual fact, or you just made that fact up?
No, there's no evidence for it, but it is fact. But no, this is a really entertaining album. Really good guitars, instrumentally, some really good work on there. Really good vocals. Just a really solid hard rock album. Could have been in danger of going a little bit boring towards the end. It did start to get a bit samey, but luckily, it's in under 40 minutes, so it gets in, does what it has to do, gets out, which is something I like from a rock album. Certainly, this is definitely one for me. Hit the spot. This
right. Well, I was surprised there in terms of what Dave thought, but let's carry on with that unknown surprise. Paul, What do you think? Did Seven Crystal send you to Wonderland?
Well, I was going somewhere else in the car when I put them on the car speakers, and
You were going somewhere else.
yeah, I wasn't going to Wonderland, but I was going somewhere else.
Okay, thanks. I was wondering, but we didn't know where you were going. But Wonderland, of course. Silly me.
Actually, I was going to the Daughtry concert, but and I should have been listening to Daughtry, but I thought I'll catch up on get ahead of some of the albums for this month. And I came on and I listened to the whole album. I enjoyed it. So yeah, Swedish outfit, Seventh Crystal return with a follow-up debut album from Delirium. That is not to say that vocalist Christian hasn't been a busy lad, also being the singer for Perpetual Attitude, and songwriting and singing with guitar maestro Magnus Carlsen for Geneva. Wonderland sees for I'm saying for. I did look up the pronunciation of the name, and I just can't get it right in my head. But I think it's Faya or something like that. And the rest of the band returning to AOR melodic hard rock. The twin guitars sing, which is the way I like them, with harmony, and the solos are memorable too. The rhythm section beats out an impressive rock groove, which is accompanied by synth embellishment. All the standard ingredients of AOR rock. However, Wonderland has that hard rock punch to it. But that is not the only thing that makes this band stand out above the rest. It is Christian's clear vocals and elocution. The songwriting is top-notch too. There isn't a bad track on the album. The only issue is whether this appeals to you, to your musical tastes. For me, it very much did so.
Wow. Well, we're on a bit of a roll. We seem to be going to Wonderland. Now, I know somebody will already be there. And if they're not there, it will be a huge shock. I reckon Trish has not only parked her car in Wonderland, she's pitched up her tent. She's got a party going, and she's boogieing away with the band itself. Am I right, Trish?
Well, I mean, melodic rock is my sweet spot. What's not to love? But there are a lot of melodic rock bands. Some do a nice job, and there's some that offer a little bit more. Will this be the case for me, the 80s rock chick aficionado of melodic rock? Wonderland, the opens the album of the same name, has got great vocals, guitar, bass, and drum. It's followed by Higher Ground that has a real 80s arena rock anthem about it. Million Times, My Own Way, all good tracks, even the ballad In the Mirror. And as we know, I'm not a ballad lover. Give me the anthems any time. But I do understand you do have to have a mix in an album to keep you engaged. So yes, this rock chick loved this album.
Wow. Right. Well, let's see then. Who are they up against? Because and what do I think about them, first of all? What did I think about them? That's a good point. I'm loving ahead. I'm steaming ahead. But, okay, so there are a lot of... I think Trish kind of mentioned it. There's a lot of bands in this arena, and a lot of melodic rock bands that have come out of Sweden. So we hear it a lot. So you're going to have to stand out, and you're going to have to be a cut above the rest, I think, to kind of get anywhere in this arena. Now, I think that this band does some of that. I think Paul mentioned about his vocals, and I would agree with that. I think there is solid, good variation in this particular album. It's strong. It's a slightly more edgy than typical melodic rock bands of that ilk. But does it stand out enough? I don't think so. I think my problem here is, though it was quite varied, there was I list kind of songs that stood out for me, and nothing really stood out. It was a solidly good album. It is a good album, not disputing that. Did it elevate itself up and above beyond some of the great albums that we've listened to this year? Not really. Not for me anyway. There was nothing. There was no particular track, and none of you have mentioned that. None of you so far have gone, oh, and this particular track really stood out for me. And that's That's not normal, by the way. If you look back on all our videos, normally you go, oh, and I love this track. And none of you mention a real standout track. You've all gone, it's a good album, I really enjoyed it. And I'm with you on that, but it didn't really elevate high enough for me to get it right up there. But I still enjoyed it. I think it was a really cracking, good melodic rock band. And it was slightly better than a lot of other stuff that we've heard come out of Sweden. So it was really good. I enjoyed it. But did I enjoy it more than Haken? That's the question. And did you lot enjoy it more than Haken? But who were Haken? Right, well, they are, and lovely to see, an English from the fertile lands of progressive rock metal England. Band formed in 2007 by multi-instrumentalist Richard Henshaw, guitarist Matthew Marshall and vocalist Ross Jennings. I love English bands because we can pronounce their names, because that's all we're capable of doing. While Henshaw, Marshall and Jennings first had the idea of forming Haken in 2004, they opted to pursue their instruments and songwriting first. Upon recruiting other members 3 years later, they eventually released their demo Enter the Fifth Dimension in 2008, signing with Century Records, then released their first album Aquarius. Well, I mean, I'm an Aquarian, so that's a good thing. In 2010, as of 2023, they released 7 studio albums, 2 EPs, and 2 live albums. Right, Paul, let's start with you. Haken, progressive metal, or was it?
Yeah, it was definitely progressive. So British prog rockers Haken have released their 7th album, Fauna. The first thing of note is the album cover with a sitting chimp in a suit in a Victorian setting with a mechanical bird on his fingers, which one could easily relate to Umbrella Academy, a twisted alternative fantasy superhero comic and TV series that has complicated plots with time travel as what the fudge moments happening in a series of events. I mentioned this as I found Fauna to be initially a very hard listen. Songs and musical style deviate in different direction, sometimes return into initial interactions, sometimes not. Everything is thrown in, boogles the lot. What's impressive is more often than not, it works. The issue for me is, at least, is the time one must invest to appreciate the full experience. Nevertheless, the alphabet of me and some paternal beings are some of the best prog songs I've heard in some time.
Now, it's kind of interesting, and you picked up on that. Did you know, does anybody know the theme of this album? Or what the theme was about? It's basically the manifestation of an animal. Mm-hmm. So each one was supposed to be like a manifestation of a particular species of animal, like elephant, that sort of stuff as well. And I didn't get that, and I kind of went... And I got that after listening to the different titles of the songs. So there was a specific, it was an embodiment of that, and that was kind of it. That was interesting. They nailed onto a concept. It wasn't quite a concept album, but they kind of nailed onto that. But so that was an interesting fact I thought I'd throw in there. Might change your minds. Dave is looking like completely perplexed on that.
Just having a look at the track listing.
I know, right? But when you looked into it, I went, this sounds odd. But anyway, right, Trish, what do you think? Prog metal, your thing? I would imagine that you didn't even fire up the car to go to have your little tour of Fauna.
So I did do a bit of research into it, and this is a concept album with the premise that each song would have an animal assigned to it, but would also connect to the human world and how that animal related to the song's composer. Confused? Yes, reading that I am, but when you listen to the album, you can see what they're doing. For example, the opener, Taurus, is about the wild beast, with its destruction likened to the effects of the Russia-Ukraine war. The album shifts musically in each song, sometimes quite heavy, which is out of my listening range normally, and some songs did lose my interest, as I do struggle with certain concept albums. But that all being said, Fauna is a confident album. It's just really not my cup of tea, but I'm sure it will please their fan base.
Talking about their fan base, we would skip Dave, but we have to. We obviously have to go to Dave. He's kind of part of the crew. Dave, I would say, but I was surprised with Seven Crystals, so maybe I'm going to be surprised here. I would kind of suggest, based on previous incarnations, that prog metal really is not your cup of tea. But did this change you at all, Dave?
Not in the slightest. No, I'm very much not. I'm not in the intended audience for this. Instrumentally, it's fine. It would be nice if they could all agree to play the same song most of the time, because sometimes it just felt like that it was just random. It was just boring and directionless. It didn't keep my attention at all. When I was listening to it, I was driving, and I've got to admit, I was daydreaming, and just eventually the album got to the instrumental tracks, and I went, oh, there's no vocals anymore. I looked at it, it was, oh yeah, instrumentals, I'll turn it off now then. And that was it. It just did nothing for me whatsoever. I mean, I'm not a fan of putting the instrumental tracks on the album. I don't see why you do it. I mean, if you wanted to do, I suppose if you buy the album, you buy a copy of it. If you have 2 CDs and one's instrumental tracks, fair enough in a situation like that. But otherwise, I don't see why you do it. It's just, you get halfway through an album and then you go, oh, turn it off now. I don't want to listen to all the same tracks again, just without any vocals in there. But as I say, I'm not the intended audience, so I'm sure their fans would love this, but it's not for me.
Right. Well, this is interesting because I was on the fence about putting Haken in, and then we do these song contests, and one of the song contests I was in, somebody put Love Bites into the song contest, and I really liked it. And I thought, well, if I like this track and good enough to put it onto my playlist, that the album kind of should be in there, because I was on a bit of metal because of prog metal. But I think I'm kind of with Paul on this. As prog metal kind of goes, it was pretty. There were some parts of this album that were brilliant. I mean, for rock, it was fantastic. And there are other parts, and with Dave, it went meandering off in different directions, and you would lose me a little bit. But overall, solid. I mean, I loved the song Love Bites, and there's certain other stuff. There were some tracks typical of prog metal bands where it just drags on, just finish it now, and they don't ever seem to do that, because some people like it to keep going on till they fall asleep, maybe. I don't know. It was one of those ones with prog metal where you go, oh God, no, please, I can't get through this album, and then there are other ones like this one where some particular aspects of the album do grab you, and there was some really cracking stuff in there. There was some great mixture, great guitars. It did get a builder onto the heavy stuff, which I really enjoyed, and then there was some stuff that just kind of droned on quite a bit. But overall, I kind of enjoyed it. Would I go back to it? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe if it was on, I'd listen to it, and I'd maybe pick out 1 or 2 tracks. Love Bites definitely got onto my playlist for certain. So, but yeah. Right, well, let's go and find out, shall we, who's going to win this Battle of the Bands, Seventh Crystal versus Haken. So, right, well, we're going to start off. We'll start off with Ian, because Ian, bless him, did send his votes in. And a little bit of a surprise here, because he gave Seventh Crystal a 3, and he gave Haken a 3.5. Mm-hmm. So, interesting. So, Haken 1 up. Paul, let's go with you then. Seventh Crystal.
4.
4 for Seventh Crystal. Haken.
3.
A 3 for Haken. 1 apiece. Well, we know where this is going to end up. Trish, Seventh Crystal.
4.5.
4.5. Didn't get the golden ticket, but quite close. And Haken.
2.5.
2.5. Oh, that's nearly in the middle, Trish.
Yeah, funny that.
I know,
I
right?
work in accounts.
Dave, Seventh Crystal.
3.5.
3.5. I expected higher based on your review. You're another Ian.
I mean, no.
And Haken.
0.5.
Oh, that's harsh. That's harsh.
Generous.
Oh, harsh. I give Seventh Crystal a 3.5, and I give Haken a 3. So there we go. So Seventh Crystal and Wonderland wins a particular battle. Though I tried to match the people up. I think that was not quite a match-up in terms of their stars, but there we go. So will any of them reach our Hall of Fame? Well, to get into our Hall of Fame, you've got to get 20 or plus. Top 50 around about 18. Let's find out. Seventh Crystal 3.5 plus 4.5. Live mathematics 8, 12, 15.5, 18.5. Well, I guess into our top 50 for sure, and certainly up there for our albums of the year. Haken with Fauna, well, 5.5, 8.5, 9, 12.5. Well, that's split it dead in the middle. So what we're saying is Haken was a good, solid album. They both did well. They both did well. But Seventh Crystal, congratulations, 18.5, and certainly one of our most highly rated albums of the year. And you can find that out. It'll be in the chat. I'm posting it in the YouTube chat in terms of where everything is as well. You can take a look at that as well. So, right, well, thank you very much for joining us. Keep on listening, and thank you very much to my wonderful panel, to Ian, who's not with us even, Paul, Dave, and Trish. Thank you very much.